Fury as Minneapolis Teachers Union negotiates clause requiring white educators to be laid off first, regardless of seniority, to make up for past discriminations. Rule is part of contract that ended 2-week strike this past March. This is an article from the Daily Mail, published on August 15th, even though the strike happened in March. And obviously we see that Minneapolis is, as some people like to say, mini-crapolis. I used to live in Minneapolis. I lived there for a year and 3 months. That was a year and 3 months too long. I'm not surprised, as I've said before, I'm not surprised the George Floyd incident happened there. The city is designed to frustrate and infuriate its citizens. It's designed to make people just want to stand against the police because the things that they do there, it's just ridiculous. And the way the streets are laid out, utterly stupid. You call that an American city. It's a terrible place to be. Let's see what it says underneath the headline here. But before we get started, thank you all for stopping by. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribing. You can find me on Rumble and on Twitter. Let's go ahead and dive in here. The stipulation is part of a new agreement starting in spring of 2023 between the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers and the Minneapolis Public Schools. Part of the agreement was an attempt to reformat how the school district hires and keeps teachers of color. The new contract says that they may go outside the order to avoid layoffs to a teacher who is a member of a population underrepresented. This prioritizing may apply to bring back teachers who were laid off should rehires occur. Okay, then. The new contract between Minneapolis Public Schools and teachers unions has caused outrage as it could see senior white teachers intentionally laid off before teachers of color. Yeah, you know what we call that? There's a word for it. What's that word? Spacism? No, it's not spacism. Something like that. I'm not sure what it is. The contract says instead of teacher layoffs or relocations being decided based on seniority, as is typical, schools can ignore that protocol and dismiss senior staff members if otherwise a teacher of color would be laid off. Oh, they can ignore it, so they don't have to ignore it. Well, that's not as bad, but you know what they're going to do, because as soon as they lay somebody off of color, that person can say you're doing it because I'm whatever race and whatever ethnicity, so on and so forth. Go back to the article. Many have called the deal unconstitutional and accused it of addressing past racism with more racism. Yeah, it's doing that. You can't racist your way out of racism. It just doesn't work. It reads, if excising a teacher who is a member of a population underrepresented among licensed teachers in the site, the district shall excise a least senior teacher who is not a member of an underrepresented population. The prioritizing of teachers of color over senior educators may also apply to rehiring after layoff. Here is the problem with that. What is the black population of Minneapolis? I live there. Like I said, I live there. If you're from Minneapolis, you're gonna love what I'm about to tell you right now. I lived in Stevens Community. Those of you from Minneapolis know. Skinny little white boy like me living in Stevens Community. I'm sure you can come up with all sorts of ideas about what that means, what that implies. It was close to the school. I went to the Minneapolis College of Art and Design for a few semesters. It was not the best choice for me, so I transferred to a different school. We have these pictures here. This is the president of the Teachers Association or something. Here is the president with most of the squad. All of these women in here, all of them. I don't know about the president. I can't talk to her, or the president of this Teachers Association, whatever that is. But all of the women in the squad are pure evil. 100%, and they should all be removed from office and imprisoned. See, roll down here. This is the contract. I'm not going to read through that. I'm hoping the article gives you the highlights instead of me having to read the entire contract. The move was met with swift backlash, with an economics professor branding it racism in action. It is. Constitutional lawyer Hans Bader characterized the deal as unconstitutional in an editorial in Liberty Unyielding on Sunday, saying the race-based layoff provision violated portions of the Civil Rights Act. When it comes to termination, an employer can't racially discriminate even against whites, Bader wrote. The Third Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in 1996 that a school district can't consider race even as a tiebreaker in deciding who to lay off, even to promote diversity. You're right. According to various laws we have in this country, you're not allowed to do that. Republicans representative to the Minnesota House of Representatives Jeremy Munson said on Facebook that while he was never a supporter of protecting employees exclusively based on seniority, the union's deal was racist. No, you mean it is racist. The Minneapolis Teachers Union has taken a racist approach and agreed to protect your job based on your skin color over your job performance or seniority, he wrote. I don't know who needs to hear this, but racist employment contracts have no place in our society. In the comments of Munson's post, one user quipped, "Sounds like discrimination lawsuits are on the horizon." Yeah. If you're going to get laid off because you're white, that's the reason why, sue their pants off. Just sue the crap out of the Department of Education in your district. Get all the money that you can. The thing is the school I work at, they were going to try, we're going to be like supporting Black Lives Matter and supporting like all this race-based stuff now that the George Floyd riots happened. And I sent them a nasty email saying, no, you're not, because that's racist. And you need to stop being sexist too. And all of that went away immediately. I don't think I was the only one who stood up to it. Back to the article. All I can say is, wow, all my teacher friends, how does this sit with you? Wrote Anthony Dunn in a Facebook post. Looking from the outside in, this does not sit well with me. We are hiring and firing based upon skin color. So in my simplified viewpoint, fighting past racism with new racism. Yep. Well, that's what Ibram X. Kendi said. I'm sorry. Henry Rogers said. It's his real name. Ibram X. Kendi is his woke name. And he says that the only cure for present racism is future racism. Okay. Dina Salmon probably, I don't know, spelled Salmon, that's how you spell salmon, I don't know. Warned teachers in a Facebook post that Minneapolis schools would not protect them no matter how long they'd been teaching in the system. If you're white and you work in the Minneapolis public schools, know that your union will not protect you from layoffs in spite of your seniority, she wrote. This is racism. It's also unconstitutional. The contract states the district shall deprioritize the more senior teacher who is not a member of an underrepresented population in order to recall a teacher who is a member of a population underrepresented among licensed teachers. Again, I have to ask this. What is the percentage of the population in Minneapolis that is black compared to the percentage that is white, compared to the percentage that is Hispanic, compared to the percentage that is Asian, that is Arabic, that is Native American, so on and so forth? If you break that down, you're going to find that the majority of Minneapolis is white. So you're going to have majority teachers being white. You're never going to account for racial balance in any profession. Like if you have 10% of the population who is black, 20% who is Hispanic, and 5% who is Asian, that comes up to 35%. You're never going to have then 65% be white, and then the other professions represented equally to their percentage of the population in any profession. It's just, it doesn't work that way. People are drawn to different things. I mean, the odds of that happening are pretty slim. I'm sure it does happen occasionally. Oh, wow, we got almost perfect representation of how the population breaks down in this field. You know what? Why aren't they firing female teachers more quickly than they're firing male teachers? Because last time I checked, this could just be me, but last time I checked, women dominate in education. Right, here we go, we can see. In 2018, around 3/4 of school teachers were women. So 75% of just teachers alone are female. At my school, all of the advisors are female. All of them. So, don't know what to tell you. This is not a male-dominated profession. Both school districts and teachers union leaders say this makes the city one of the only in the country that does what's called seniority disrupting. The agreement could prove important very soon, given that the district is likely to cut jobs because of budget reductions due to lower enrollments, according to the ABC News 4. The new contract also calls for the development of anti-bias, anti-racist staff advisory councils. This is what we need. A bunch of people who don't know what they're talking about, claiming things are racist. They are supposed to focus, according to the contract, on reducing inequitable practices and behaviors in our learning places and spaces, as well as supporting educators, specifically educators of color, in navigating and disrupting our district as a predominantly white institution. All institutions in the United States, all employment institutions are predominantly white because there's more white people than any other race. What the hell? The Minneapolis Teachers Union has negotiated a contract in which the district will fire white teachers first. This is the inevitable endpoint of equity. Yeah. That's what Christopher Rufo said that. I don't know who Mark Perry is in action. Racism in action. Minneapolis Teachers Union contract calls for layoffs of white teachers first. Yep, of course. Would you expect it to be any different in any way? There's going to be white teachers that are going to be owning the school districts in Minneapolis. The stipulation was first hinted at back in March when an agreement was first struck, citing the fact that the most senior teachers in Minneapolis are majority white and people of color were typically the first on the chopping block when layoffs happens. Union reps told NPR News at the time that this protected about half of the teachers of color in the district. About half. It only protects about half. How is that possible? It should protect all because they're getting special treatment. Some conservative activists were outraged, including public school reform activist Christopher Rufo. He tweeted, "This is the inevitable endpoint of equity." On Fox News Hannity Monday night, contributors Leo Terrell and Clay Travis both hammered the agreement. Terrell, a civil rights attorney who is black, said, "It's racist. It's discriminatory. It's illegal. It should be invalidated immediately. I read what the union says. They said they want students to have teachers that look like them. Wrong. The students need teachers who will educate them. Educate, not what they look like." Exactly. What the hell is... Are you telling me that the majority of people living in Minneapolis are not white? Let's see. Here we go. 63% white. It does have a high percentage of black or African American, 18%, 19%. I don't see... Does it say over here? No, it doesn't say. This is unfortunately not the same chart. So it's not going to give me... Well, okay, here we go. What is this? Native American, Native Hawaiian, some other race. So we can assume in that 62% has also included Hispanic people, which, okay, that means two or more races is 6%. Asian is 6%. Some other race is 5%. There's probably a lot of Hispanic people included in that 5%. So, yeah, I mean, that's still the biggest percentage white. Even if you include Hispanic people in that, I'm sure the biggest percentage comes out to be white overall. So tell me the people in Minneapolis don't look white? They need to have black teachers because they're not white? Mm-hmm. Sports writer Travis, who runs the website Outkick the Coverage, agreed, "Yeah, of course it would." And I agree with everything Leo said. Look, the foundation of the Democrat Party now is two things, Sean. It is everything is racist and America is an awful place. It's also everything is sexist. That is basically everything that the Democrats believe. And if you drill down essentially every policy that they advocate for, that's what it is in its essence. Former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker also criticized the deal, tweeting, "This is racist. This is illegal. This is another example of why government unions should be eliminated." Okay, I don't think we need to go that far. In 1776, Project PACT, a conservative political action committee, called the agreement breathtakingly racist and outright unconstitutional. The spokesperson for the school district said, "To remedy the continuing effects of past discrimination, Minneapolis Public Schools and the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers mutually agreed to contract language that aims to support the recruitment and retention of teachers from underrepresented groups as compared to the labor market and to the community served by the school district." Yeah, that's because people in Minneapolis are stupid. This is why I left. Obviously, I wasn't getting what I wanted out of the school, but it comes down to just blatant stupidity. So I'm sorry if you're in Minneapolis and you heard me say that. You're probably an exception. I mean, if you're watching my channel, you probably are. It's the latest instance of teachers' unions espousing left-wing ideals in education. This is what we need. The AFT and the NEA have both endorsed the controversial 1619 Project for Inclusion in School Curriculum. The project, which had its inception as a New York Times opus, was hailed a corrective history of slavery in America. But it has been fraught with criticism for ignoring facts in favor of a revisionist narrative that skews left. Yep. Meanwhile, though the official stance of Randy Weingarten, president of American Federation of Teachers Labor Union, is that critical race theory is not taught in classrooms. She recently pushed back against parents who spoke out against it. Yet a myriad of reports suggests that those parents' fears that it has seeped into classrooms are well-founded. It is. It's in there. In one way or another, it's there. In Buffalo, New York, students are told that all white people perpetuate systemic racism. The Arizona Department of Education has created an equity toolkit which claims that babies show the first signs of racism at 3 months old and that white children become full-blown racist at 5. What about black children? They don't show any signs of this stuff? Because if it's, one group, it's probably another group as well doing the same thing. Got a bunch of images here. There's Randy Weingarten, and then we got Bill Clinton with her, and so on and so forth. In Cupertino, California, third graders are asked to deconstruct their racial identities and rank themselves according to their power and privilege. Yeah, I have no power and I have no privilege, therefore I'm on the bottom of the list. Doesn't matter my skin color. And the principal of the school in New York City sent white parents a tool for action which tells them they must become white traitors and advocate for white abolition. I'm sorry, what now? We need to abolish white people in the world or in the country. Either way, it's bad, but I mean, probably in the world is what he's talking about. Because, evil whitey. Meanwhile, this person who is a principal of the school in New York City is working a job that was invented by white people for white people. And he's probably white himself. And in Seattle, there are training sessions for teachers in which schools were deemed guilty of spirit murder against black children. Yeah, of course they were. All of these notions are central to CRT as presented by radical proponents Bettina Love and Ibram X. Kendi. Hey, what do you know? There he is, Henry Rogers. I mentioned him earlier. The only cure for past discrimination is present discrimination. In his latest handbook for a return to school post-COVID, the Department of Education included a link to Love's Abolitionist Teaching Network's Guide to Racial and Restorative Justice, a work that accuses white teachers of spirit murder of minority children and advocates for all white teachers to be given anti-racist therapy. Homeschool your children. If you're not homeschooling your children, this is what you have to be exposing them to. Holy crap. That is just... This is just... Okay. I can't even with this. I am not murdering... I am not murdering the spirit of my black students. I mean, they're adults. I teach adults, but still. One of my classes right now, I have... How many black kids? 4? 3.5? 3.5 is it? No, there's actually only 2.5. I only got one white kid in the whole class though. So you tell me. And I grade them all the same. I interact with them all the same. I don't treat them any different. They're all just people. That's the end of the article. It says it seems like it's a lot longer. I don't. Oh, there are comments here. Let's see. Do we have anything that's good? You cannot make up for past events that happened to people long dead. Excoriating modern people from an entire race will not equalize anything. This is what psychiatrists call magical thinking. Stop taking from one child, white people, to give to another, people of color. Yeah, okay, let's get rid of white people. Let's do it and see how the world turns out. See what happens to the world. See if it continues on as well as it has so far, honestly. I'm gonna leave you with one example in my own personal life about how black people are not disadvantaged. My boss, I have said more than once, is black. I've been working for him for 4 years. He's quitting. Why is he quitting? You might ask. Somebody headhunted him, offered him a better paying job, a more comfortable job. He's worked at this job 10 years. And now he's getting a better offer from a different company, even though he's black. Black people have it so rough in this country. Dang, man, they got it so rough. Racism exists. It does. But it goes every which way. People are racist against other people. That's just how it is. And if there is a system that we can identify in our society that is treating people unfairly based on the color of their skin, we've said, hey, look, that's illegal. You can't do that, and we're going to stop it. What more do you want? I mean, what more can you ask for, really? There's a lot of other countries that don't do that. They say, you can be as racist as you want to be. It doesn't matter. Went to Asia, and it's like, yeah, you got to pay more. Why? Because you're not part of this country. Have fun with that. So anyway, that's all I got for this time. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.